This is A Course in Miracles, and we're attempting to demonstrate to you the certainty that we share a single love with God, of which I am and you are and everything in the universe is. I understand that it has required some practice on your part, since obviously your conceptual mind, who you think you are in this world is the obstacle to the certainty that life is eternal. Certainly, if you let this represent within your own mind, okay, the idea that this is life, you're going to get the result of that within your own mind. Not only is that true, but you will believe that the power is outside of yourself. You cannot not believe that, because nobody in their right mind that would exercise the power that is in fact a part of their relationship with the whole universe would allow this to in any form be a reality of themselves. Where your objection to the message that I'm offering you from my mind occurs, I don't know. Obviously, you're objecting to it. All right? Obviously, when I present you with the idea, as in Lesson 127, that we share the love of God together, obviously, when I present you with the certainty that in the lesson that we just did, Lesson 127, all right, the certainty that you and I, within our association with each other, are actually expressing a single mind that holds all of the love and joy that is a part of our true reality. All right? You object to it not so much from the idea that it might not be true within your mind that we share God's love, but because of a fundamental inability within your conceptual mind to hear the offering that I am giving you. Let's go back just for a moment and look at the last segment of Lesson 127, and then we'll proceed on with Lesson 128 in this course. Listen. Perhaps you think that different kinds of love are possible. Perhaps you think there's a kind of love for this, a kind of love for that. A way of loving one, another way of loving still another. Listen, love is one. It has no separate parts and no degrees, no kinds, nor levels, no divergencies, and no distinctions. Listen, it is like itself, unchanged throughout. It never alters with a person or a circumstance. It is the heart of God and also of his Son, who is you. Love's meaning is obscure to anyone who thinks that love can change. He does not see that changing love must be impossible, and thus he thinks that he can love at times and hate at other times. He also thinks that love can be bestowed on one and yet remain itself, although it is withheld from others. To believe these things of love is not to understand it. If it could make such distinctions, it would have to judge between the righteous and the sinner and perceive the Son of God in separate parts. Listen, love cannot judge. As it is one itself, it looks on all as one. Its meaning lies in oneness, and it must elude the mind that thinks of it as partial or in parts. There is no love but God's, and all of love is his. Listen, there is no other principle that rules where love is not. Love is a law without an opposite. Its wholeness is the power holding everything as one, the link between the Father and the Son, which holds them both forever as the same. No course whose purpose is to teach you to remember what you really are could fail to emphasize that there can never be a difference in what you really are and what love is. Love's meaning is your own and shared by God himself, for what you are is what he is. There is no love but his, and what he is everything there is. There is no limit placed upon himself, and so are you unlimited as well. So we're back with you now, and we're going to attempt this lesson. The reason this lesson is imperative in the mind training is very simply because somewhere within yourself you're admitting that you're an organizational procedure within your mind and are determining within your own conceptual self what you want and what you don't want, what you love and what you hate. The qualities that identify you as a body allow you to make decisions that you believe are possible within your own mind identity. Yeah. I can tell you on the outset of the teaching on this video that I'm offering you that all of your decisions have been to hold you in the conceptual identity of yourself. And they're not real, and they're not true, and they're always over and gone. The lesson that I'm offering you in the certainty of your mind, which is my mind, is that you're at the time and place where you begin to practice and discover within this time frame a complete alternative to your conceptual self. And while for a moment it will contain your conceptual identity, there will be nothing within the frame of the thought form reference that will conflict with you. Now, the idea that nothing is going to conflict with you within your own conceptual mind requires the necessity that you reject within your own conceptual self the value you have given your ego, your self-identity, in regard to what you believe you are. In a particular sense, this practice says, I don't want this. You listen to me. Okay, I teach a dependency on God because I discovered a dependency on God. First of all, in the arrangements of the particulars of my own conceptual self, where I couldn't find the solution, where I began to experience more pain and more loneliness, where I began to see that the entity that I presented out to the world that appeared to be very successful, that appeared to be able to operate within the procedures that were being dictated by the world, first of all, were fake. First of all, and I'm looking right at you, human being, first of all, I'm very much aware that you're a fake. I can't prevent you from continuing to organize your own mind, but what I'm telling you, you know. Uncertainty about yourself is what the fakery is. So if I can give you enough light within your individual conceptual mind to allow for a genuine alternative to occur to you, you will immediately begin to have an experience of an alternative that actually shows you the presence of the light and love that's all around you. Now, the practice that can go on in your own mind, you listen to me, it doesn't have to be demonstrated by you suddenly quitting your occupation. It doesn't have to be demonstrated by your suddenly leaving your family. That's nonsense. It doesn't have to be demonstrated by some sort of doctrinal identity with the passion of the rejection of the love of God. It has to be demonstrated within yourself. And part of that demonstration will be, as you proceed within your own body identity, the realization that you actually don't want the occupation that you're in without the necessity for you to search for an alternative in what appears to be the alteration of your consciousness, where you could change your occupation to something that's going to give you more joy and happiness. I don't know how clear that was. It was very clear to me. What it says is that all of your choices are false. Once you discover that in the miracle of your own mind, the practice of I don't want to value this world will take on a new joy to you, because at the moment of your non-valuing of it conceptually, the bright alternative will be available to you. Is that all right? Let's look together at this lesson in this Course in Miracles that is training you in a systematic way to discover the bright alternative that's very conscious with you. Did you see that, what happened right there? Could you see that? No, that's available to you. That's within your mind. You don't have to go out in the world and try to prove that. You let that grow within you. All right. Now, the practice that's offered in this lesson allows you to see the valuelessness of what you previously gave value to. That's not because you value it and then try to figure out why you don't value it anymore. It will simply be a loss of value for you to necessitate your continuing existence contained within this little frame of death.